Hey everybody, Randy here. Welcome to Let's Figure It Out. In this series, we review mods and features for Ark Survival Ascended on a PlayStation 5. Let's get started. In this video, I will review all that I've learned about the Biogrinder while playing in single player with PvE settings enabled. I've seen other YouTubers talk about automated farms, but they play on servers with PvP settings. That just doesn't work for me. There is one engram that is associated with this item. You do have to have Bob's Tall Tales in order to access it. The Biogrinder is accessible at level 85. You do have to have the Industrial Grinder unlocked before that. The crafting requirements are kind of expensive, but they are reasonable considering what you're going to end up getting. The size of the Biogrinder is smaller than a 5x5 foundation. So I've put a 5x5 together. This is these outer walls here. And there's a strange little bit of a hitbox here where you can't walk through from the back. But as you come around the other side, you can continue to walk through. So this outer size is a 5x5. And that gives me a little room to move around in here. I wanted some protection for this item in case a dino comes up and starts hitting it. I didn't want it to break. But you can see you could place it on a smaller level or smaller area than I have. It would just be very tight. You do have to have foundations down in order to place this down. I put this structure together around the grinder in order to set up an automated farm, but it doesn't really work like that, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But at the minimum, it keeps the dinos in as I throw them in or they fall in so that they are able to be ground up. You do need power for this. It can be windmill or a generator. In this particular setup, I just lined up all of my hatching dinos and I've got a air conditioner there and an air conditioner there, and I just find it's easier to hatch them from here. Now let's talk a little bit about resources that you get from adult dinos versus baby dinos. First, let's turn it on. I've got an adult saber-tooth here that I'm going to throw into the grinder. Okay, let's take a look inside and see what we got. We got hardly anything at all. Now let's throw a baby saber-tooth in and see what we get. Again, we got hardly anything at all. So the use for this grinder is really going to be for kibble, not necessarily for items. Now we threw in a saber-tooth, which is a dino that gives a live birth. Let's throw in a dino that hatches an egg. Now with that, we got some meat, some hide, and some kibble. The level of the dino does impact how much materials you get back, and I'll demonstrate that a little bit later. Now let's see what you get whenever you throw a tech dino in. You get kibble, electronics, some oil, some element dust, and some scrap metal. That's pretty good compared to a regular dino. Now I briefly talked earlier about how setting up an automated farm doesn't work for me because I'm playing on single player with PvE settings. I'll demonstrate that now. Okay, I'm going to place all these raptors on mating. Now you can stand on the grinder and it won't hurt you. We're going to get a bunch of eggs to drop out and then we'll let them hatch and see what happens. Alright, some of the eggs fell in and some of the eggs didn't. Those down there should hatch and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so the babies that hatched ended up giving us scrap metal, element dust, oil, and electronics, and some prime meat, but they did not give us any kibble. So you're going to have to allow your dinos to grow up and then throw them in there in order to get the kibble. Okay, I have 18 adult tech raptors inside the grinder. Let's see how much materials we get from them. Nice. That was awesome. All right, let's see what we got. 277 kibble, 182 metal, 129 element dust, 189 electronics, and 182 of oil. That is pretty good. I'll take that. Just a reminder, whenever you put scrap metal into a forge, you're going to get 1-to-1 on your return. So now you have all this kibble. What are you going to do with it? I don't know about you, but I like to use extraordinary kibble to do all my tames with. It's just so much easier. But now you've got all this excess lower level kibble. What are you going to do? What I do is I carry it around as food. Right now, my food is 54.6. I'm going to eat one kibble, and it goes up to 70.6. So I'm basically getting about 15 or 16 food per kibble. Now that's not a lot when you compare it to something like cooked prime meat. You get a lot more food from that. But we take a look at this cooked prime meat, it spoils in 39 minutes, and I just took it out of a tech fridge, so it reset its spoil timer. When you look at a stack of kibble, it expires in 2 days, 16 hours, and 42 minutes. Plus, this entire stack of 100 only weighs 10 pounds. You could run around with a stack of 25 and it's only 2.5 pounds. This prime meat is 1.4 pounds. So you get about the same amount of food with the 25 of kibble versus 14 or 15 of prime meat. It's about double the weight, but it's going to be way longer on the spoil timer. Now, I am on scorched earth, so spoil timers are more effective there, but this would apply to any map. So, does the level of the dyno affect how much stuff you get out of the grinder? Let's test it out and see. So what I have here are two UDs. One is a level 97 and the other is a level 287. Let's throw them both in the grinder and see what we get. We're going to start with the level 97. Alright, so we look in the grinder, we're going to get 3 items. It's 1 meat, 3 pelt, and 6 extraordinary kibble. Next, let's throw in this level 287 UD. This time, we've got some prime meat, some regular meat, some pelt, and twice the amount of kibble. In our testing, we were able to see that you could set up an automated farm for tech creatures because you will get electronics, element dust, and scrap metal from the babies. But in order to get kibble, you have to claim the creature. Now I'm going to keep these raptors set up just like this in an automated farm and let them hatch their eggs and grind out the metal, electronics, and element dust. Anytime I need kibble, I'm going to trap the babies, throw them out, let them grow up completely, and then I'll just throw them in the grinder manually. If you learned anything new in this video, let me have a like and a subscribe. I really appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one.